Hi fellow mythology geeks and welcome to a new video. We are Greek myth and my name is Noor and this wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous assistant right over here is Adam.
Assistant?
Yes, assistant. I was the...
Partner.
Dude, I was the assistant last time.
You could be the partner if you wanted to. Anyway, move on, come on.
So, either the gods approved of our last video or all the cattle we sacrificed actually helped. Sorry Belgium, we ran out of cattle right now. So yeah, I assume either one of those since we are still sitting here and not turned into a pile of ash.
Probably the cattle though. Somehow, what we are doing today is even more dangerous than last time. We ran out of cattle. So we are completely at the mercy of Typhon and Echidna. Which means we are going to be ranking a random assortment of monsters into some tier lists.
Which brings me to the next point. The sponsor of today's video. Well, we'll be ranking. Give it up for Typhon and Echidna. You know, the mother and father of all that is evil in this world, including gruesome and horrible. So, by all means, please clap for them. Unless you want to die a gruesome death, I can't really decide for you.
I definitely don't. And also you're probably all wondering what those monsters are. Well, I will give you some names. We have Kirby, good old Cerberus. He's a good boy. He guards the gates of the underworld. He's 3 parts dog and 1 part snake. He is really cute actually. I love him. Then on the other side we have Empusai. They are flaming hot girls dedicated to Hecate. They have 1 donkey leg and 1 iron leg and are mostly known for seducing men.
1, 2, 3, 4. On the left we have the Harpies. Please note for future references that due to our accent, actually, we in the course of making this video, we said multiple times accidentally herpes. So if you tend to hear that a little more because I forgot to cut it out, or well, future me forgot to cut it out, well, don't be surprised. But anyway, the Harpies. They are half women, half bird, and they will most likely scratch you to death if you encounter them. To the right, we have the Cyclopses. Also pretty well known, I think. Giants with 1 eye. I mean, can't really miss them.
Next up we have the Sphinx. She's part woman, part lion, part eagle, and she's well known for posing riddles to passerbys. Mostly complicated, but I think there were more something alongside what's grey, heavy and doesn't move.
A parking lot.
Yeah, lame, I know. Next we have the Chimera. This one is very cute, but it's just a Chimera cup, so it's gonna be a really awful beast when it's grown up, with his lion's head, goat's head and snake tail, I guess. They each can think for themselves and move independently, so you don't want to encounter this one.
Except the poor goat head. It's like on the back, so it can't really move, but you know, it's dangerous anyway.
Never underestimate a goat.
Next up to the left we have our Hydra. You know, the beast, when you cut off its head, it grows 2 more in the place. Originally it starts with 7 heads, make 1 mistake and all of a sudden you find yourself with 9. So if you do want to cut off its head, please burn the stumps so then you don't, end up with 2 more heads. To the right we have Heracles' nemesis, the Nemean lion. The huge lion with the impenetrable skin, but also the lion that got shot in the mouth and died. So, yeah, not really much use of that impenetrable skin, is there?
Also, which brave hero braided the lion's hair?
Yeah, I'd like to meet you.
Next up, we have the Caledonian hawk and the Crommyonian saw. The left one is the saw, the right one the hawk. They are pretty similar, only normally the saw has wings, which we couldn't find a good picture of, so that's why she hasn't. And they're pretty much giant hawks who rampage a lot. Moving on.
Next up, we have to the left our dear Medusa. You know, we couldn't make a tier list without including this babe. She has a death stare, and I mean, really, come on. She really turns you into a statue, whether it be of fear or an actual statue. I won't know, because I haven't been there. Snakes for hair is also a true asset of this woman, so please, don't look her in the eye. And to the right, another of Athena's arch nemesis, Arachne. You know, the spider lady that got whacked over the head multiple times by our beloved wisdom goddess. Such a nice person she is. Anyway, so spider lady, Arachne.
Next we have the Minotaur. What happens when a woman has sex with a bull? The Minotaur happens, if you would want the answer anyway. It's quite a vicious beast. It's known for devouring a lot of people and sleeping in a labyrinth. So yeah, not really the one you want to encounter late at night. At the other side we have Ladon. It's a 100-headed dragon who guards the tree with the golden apples in the garden of the Hesperides. Yes, golden apples, you hear me right. It's an apple that gives the user immortality.
A slight little disclaimer that our opinions may vary from your own, so if you want to discuss it with us or just want to leave your own opinion, leave it down in the comments or in our Discord server, please. So we would be happy.
Now, we're gonna start with our first tier list. Most likely to encounter in the ancient Greece. First off, in the F tier we have Ladon. He lives in an enclosed garden at the edge of the world. So normally nobody encounters him. Only if you are one of the Hesperides, that is. Then we have Arachne. She really keeps to herself, and aside one myth, she doesn't really appear all that much, so probably no one will encounter her in his life. Then we have Medusa and the Minotaur. They both are stuck on an island, or a labyrinth that is, and they can't get off or out. So unless you are sent there to get in, you probably won't encounter them. Then we have the Hydra, the Caledonian hawk, the Crommyonian saw, and the Nemean lion. All of them are limited to one region, so unless you live in that region, you probably won't see them in your whole life. Then we have the Chimera and the Sphinx. They pop up at random in most myths, and they're pretty vicious and rather common if you ask me. Then in the A tier we have the Empusae, the Cyclops and the Harpies. Sorry. They are also very common and play a huge part in a lot of stories actually. And so you're probably likely to encounter one in your heroic life. Last we have Kerberos. Yes, this beast everyone at least encounters once. Some twice if you're a hero and need to venture to the underworld, but otherwise once when you die and you need to pass through the gates to Hades.
Tier 2. Most common STDs. With at tier 1, herpes. Oh, wait. Shit. Wrong video, you guys. Sorry. We're sorry. Okay. Next up, the actual tier 2 for this video. Ignore the last one. But tier 2, most likely to kill you. Starting in F with Kirby and Arachne. Well, seeing as you don't really encounter them unless you're already dead. I mean, Kirby at least. I mean, there's no point in killing you twice unless your soul did wrong something really, really bad. But I assume you wouldn't have, so, well, it's quite unlikely Kirby kills you. And as for Arachne, she's quite on her own. I mean, she doesn't really look like the killing type. Not many spiders will kill you either, I think. I mean, some are deadly, but you'd have to provoke them, I think. At E, we find the Sphinx and Ladon. The Sphinx will only kill you if you get her riddles wrong. But if you're a smart guy like Oedipus, it's no problem, and instead the Sphinx jumps off a cliff herself, so problem dealt with. And Ladon, yeah, you wouldn't really see him, so he's unlikely to kill you as well. Then we have the Caledonian Hawk and the Chromionian Sow, which are ranked a little bit higher, because if you live in the region and your village is being rampaged by those two, chances are you die, but like again, you'd have to live in the region, so Next up, C, the Hydra and the Empusai. The Hydra has like 50% chance of killing you. Again, if you are in the region, it's probably higher, and with its multiple heads, it also has a bigger chance of killing you, especially if you don't know to burn the stump. Then for the Empusai, I guess it also kind of depends on if you're a man or not, but in general, I'd say they're pretty easy to deal with, and it shouldn't be that much of a problem. At B, we find Medusa and the Nemean Lion. Now for both of these goes that you need to know their weak points. For Medusa, please bring a polished shield. As for the Nemean Lion, please bring a bow and arrow and shoot him in his mouth. I mean, if you know their weak spots, they're not that hard. I mean, they're not at the top of the list, obviously, because their weak spots are quite big and hittable, I guess. But yeah, but they're also like pretty good, I mean pretty tough opponents if you don't know the weak spots. Then at A we find our Minotaur and the Chimera. Minotaur is quite fast, quite strong. He's a literal bull. I mean, I don't know if you fought with a bull. I haven't, but it doesn't seem easy to me. And a Chimera, I mean, it has 3 heads. It sees quite a lot of things, I'd assume. So it can attack faster than most animals would. Plus, fighting a snake, poisonous snake at that, and a lion at the very same time seems quite hard to me. And then at the top, we find the Cyclops and the Harpies. Now, the reason why they're most likely to kill you is not because they're necessarily that hard to fight. It's mainly because there are more of them throughout ancient Greek mythology. So chances are just the percentage of you encountering them and them killing you is higher than any other monster because there's just more of them.
Next up, we're gonna talk about looks and design. In the F tier, the most lame designs are the Caledonian Hawk and the Cyclops. The Caledonian Hawk is literally a giant hawk, and the Cyclops is a giant with 1 eye. I don't think that's that weird at all. It's almost as if you could encounter them in the real world, that is. Next up, we have at the E tier the Nemean Lion and the Harpies. The Nemean Lion is again just a big lion, but the premise of being invulnerable makes it just that little less lame. The harpies are also just bird women, which is not creative at all. Like, there are many myths who talk about bird women. At the D tier we have the Chromionian soul, which is again just a giant soul, but it has wings and can fly, which makes it more awesome than the previous mentioned just the animal kinda myths. At the C tier we have Kirby, the Minotaur, Arachne and Ladon. I wish Kirby was higher, but due to it being just a 3-headed dog, it's only C tier. The Minotaur, being half bull and half man, is quite awesome, but still not that weird as other things I've seen. Arachne, same as the Minotaur, is only half. I mean, there are a lot of others that are also half something else. Then Ladon is basically a less awesome chimera with already 100 heads, but not regenerating, so a little bit less awesome. Then we have at the B tier Medusa and the Sphinx. I mean, come on, a woman who is so not ugly but so stunning that you get paralyzed and turn to stone immediately, also having snakes as hair, is pretty dope if you ask me. And then the Sphinx, a riddling woman with the back of a lion and the head of a woman and the wings of an eagle, is really dope. I really ask myself, what were they thinking in the ancient times? Like, come on guys.
Also says enough about how they treat their woman, doesn't it?
Yeah, indeed, what she said. Next in the A tier we have the Chimera and the Hydra. Chimera is like a mashup of all vicious animals and a goat. Don't underestimate the goat, but yeah, a goat. I don't know, why would you come up with the idea of putting a lion, a snake and a goat together?
Come on, man, there could have been crazier things than a goat, so that's why it's not ranked at complete top. But also the idea of putting goat in there is like so crazy.
Fair. It could be a camel, but yeah, it's a goat, so it's less. A goat is a bit common, I say. Also, the Hydra is, like I said, just Ladon, but the fact that his heads come back and are doubled makes it like a million times better. Like, come on, can you imagine just like a worm you find and you pull it in two and you have 4 worms at the same time for some reason? That's like the Hydra. Yeah, moving on. The S tier. In the S tier we have Empusai. Yeah, I know Empusai doesn't sound that exciting at first, but if you look closer, they have an iron leg, the leg of a donkey, firing hair, and vampire teeth. Also, they suck blood only by men. Just why? One word, why? And who the fuck came up with this? Next up we have
Tier 4, most cuddly. Now, at F we have Medusa, the Hydra, and the Harpies. Reason why? Well, simply because they're not cuddly at all. I mean, you try to hug Medusa and a snake bites you in the neck. Doesn't look all that great to me. And the Hydra, I mean, all those heads, having even more at certain times, I mean, dude, no, just no. And Harpies, I think their claws would be rather painful. I don't know. They don't seem all that nice to me either, so I wouldn't really hug one. Next up in E, we've got the Chimera, the Empusi for women, and the Cyclops. Now the Chimera, I know, the picture alludes, and he looks adorable, but I can assure you, he is not when he's all grown up. You try to hug a lion and have a snake at his tail try to bite you. I mean, it doesn't work. It won't. The only one nice enough to actually let you close enough is the goat head. But like, hey, who's really in charge? He's in the middle of the back. The Empusi for women is not going to be cuddly at all. Let me tell you, as a woman myself, encountered one once, like in my room, and I was like, nope, we're not doing this, honey. I'm not hugging you. And the Cyclops, no. I'd imagine he smells quite a bit. He's a huge ass giant. I mean, I already look up to my friends. I'm not that tall. I wouldn't hug a Cyclops either. Moving on to D with the Minotaur and Arachne. Minotaur and it already starts to go in the direction of being a tiny tad bit cuddly. I mean, he's half bull. Europa saw something in bulls. I mean, she would love him. He would rise if Europa was making this list. Anyway, Arachne doesn't seem all that cuddly to me either. If you love spiders, she would probably like rise as well. And what would make her rise for us is if she were to have the body of Lucas the spider. If you're familiar, you'll know. Then at C, we've got the Caledonian hawk and the Chromionian. So, to us, they don't seem all that cuddly, but also we are aware that people have hogs or pigs or whatever as actual pets, so we can come into the fact that they're at least a little cuddly. I mean, that's why they deserve the beautiful middle. Next up in B is an Nemean lion, the Sphinx, and Ladon. A lion seems quite cuddly to me, aside from the fact that they would rip me to shreds, but they do seem quite cute. And if you like see these YouTube videos with like people cuddling lions, I mean, that looks kind of adorable. So he gets a spot in B. The Sphinx, also think she'd be quite cuddly if you just ignore all the riddling she does and just like don't answer, just sit there and hug it out. And Ladon, if you are familiar with Percy Jackson, you'll know that Zoe, bless her heart, is quite good friends with Ladon, and Ladon is actually the pet of the Hesperides, so that is why he's also ranked at B. Also, yes, PGO is canon for us. If you haven't read it, what are you doing here? And at A, we have got the Empusi for men. Reason why? Well, it's literally their thing to seduce men, so I assume that for men, they would look quite cuddly. And lastly, on the S tier, we've got Cerberus. He's a three-headed dog. Come on, you guys. What do you expect us to do? He would look adorable. Let's ignore the snake tail for a second. 3 dog heads just like coming towards you and just putting all 3 of their heads on your lap and just looking up at you and like, oh my god, pet me. I mean, let's be honest here. No one can resist that.
I surely wouldn't be able to resist that. But next we have most likely to befriend you. At the F tier we have Harpies and Ladon. Harpies just can't even get along with other harpies, so why would they even get along with humans? So I don't really get it, so that's why they're in F tier. Also, Ladon doesn't even see people. He only sees the Hesperides, so he doesn't even have a chance to befriend you. At E we have the Minotaur, the Chimera, the Hydra, and Arachne. The Minotaur is pretty much always going to try and eat you if you see him. Also note that the Chimera is known for devouring whole armies, as well as the Hydra. He's also known for eating a lot of people and just generally being a rampaging beast. And then Arachne wouldn't befriend anyone after Athena, that is, because the whole spider thing, you know. And then at D we have Empusai and the Nemean lion. Empusai would be a little bit easier if you're a man to befriend them, but still they will try to eat you and not try to be your friend, so that's not gonna work out, I think. Then the Nemean lion is after all a giant kitten, but have you ever tried to tame a stray kitty? It's rather difficult if you ask me, so you won't be very able to befriend the Nemean lion as well. Then at C we have the Caledonian hawk and the Sphinx. Look, the Caledonian hawk is the male one of the two, and he's all about rampaging and going forward and more collateral damage. So befriending him isn't high on his list, but once you get to his softer side, you can find a friend in him. Also, the noteworthy is that the Sphinx is, before she jumps off the cliff, there might be a chance you can get along and convince her of not jumping, so yeah. At B we have Medusa, a Cyclops, and the Chromionian soul. Medusa is rather lonely on that island, so if you come on that island, most likely blindfolded or blind, you will be quite able to befriend her because she hasn't had anyone to talk to in a long time. A Cyclops is always depicted as this awful beast that eats a lot of men, but I think once you get along with one, he can be quite nice and quite helpful sometimes. So I think he would be a nice and easy friend to make. Also, a Saul, being a female, is a tad bit more likely to befriend you than a hawk. Then A we have Arachne, and that's before Athena, I must say. She is not spidery, I think, and that's more likely to attract people to become friends with. She was like famous in the village and stuff, so she had a lot of friends. In the S tier we have good old Cerberus. He is a giant dog, and once you bring a steak or a ball into the underworld, he's far too easy to befriend, and he will never leave your side and always be excited to see you when he's your friend. So, last tier, here we go.
Last, but certainly not least, tier 6, most likely to be under your bed tonight. Let's start out with F, shall we? We find there Kirby and the Chromionian, so it's quite obvious why these two wouldn't be underneath your bed. First of all, Kirby has duties in the underworld, and Hades will not let him be off guard duty. I mean, I swear, he's hard on his dog, but he's a good boss. I mean, he takes care of his dog, but he also needs to stay in his place. And as for the Sow, it's a giant Sow with wings. You're gonna know if that's underneath your bed. Same for Kerberos Shroud, by the way. Same for Kerberos, by the way.
Trouwens is Dutch for by the way.
Yeah, so Dutch lesson with us. Anyway, next up, Medusa, the Caledonian hog, and the Sphinx in E. Medusa doesn't seem like the type to go underneath your bed. I mean, you can't really turn people to stone if they sleep. Or if you sleep with your eyes open, I suppose you could debate that. But I assume you wouldn't really be conscious, so don't think you'd turn to stone. A Caledonian hog is more of a rampager than an I'll attack you in your sleep and kill you type of monster. So I don't think he'll be under your bed either. So you're safe from that one as well. A sphinx goes for the riddles and all that. So I don't think she'll be under your bed. Unless you hear some bad puns or whatever. Or like these bad riddles. And you're just like, what the fuck is happening? That's probably a sphinx. But I don't think she'll be under your bed. And next up we have the Minotaur and Lotto. I mean, the Minotaur is a little more likely to be underneath your bed, but like, nah. He'd prefer his labyrinth, so he'd be like, if I have to, I'll do it, but I prefer not to. Lotto, I mean, he's a 100-headed dragon, so I don't think that'll be his specialty. But again, if they make him, I'd see him do it. Then next up we have the Hydra and the Cyclops. The Cyclops would hide underneath your bed, but then again not really your bed, but more likely a closet, and just hop out of there and then say hello, and you'd be like so scared you'd jump up a few feet and then that's it. A Hydra, I mean, also probably come out of your closet with its multiple heads. It would pretty much scare you. Yeah, but like not really likely to be under your bed again. Then next up we have the Chimera and the Nemean Lion. These kitties, yeah, they'd be under your bed. And be like, hey, surprise, we're here. We're gonna chop your head off now. Thank you for our meal. So yeah, you can expect them there. Next up, Empusa and the Harpies. Harpies are known to like eat people and scare the hell out of them by following them around and all that stuff. They'd totally be under your bed. They'd come say hi and just like, you know, eat you, scratch you, whatever it is harpies do. And Empusa, if you're a man, I double check before you go to sleep tonight. If you're a woman, you'll be a little more safe, but I assume from time to time some of them will be lesbians as well. Who knows? So you better check as well. And as for the S tier, we have Arachne. Literally, at the time of recording this, there's like one, I think even two spiders in this room. So chances are there's at least one in your room. Sorry to those of you who are arachnophobic that will not sleep tonight because of us. But yeah, they will definitely be under your bed tonight. So, if you are wondering why on Earth's surface Kirby is so highly ranked all the time, or why he's being presented like a cute little puppy, he's biased.
I'm not.
You are very biased.
No, I'm not.
You're horribly biased.
Fair I am. Come on, let's move on. Well, if you liked the video, please let us know by giving a thumbs up. And if you would like some more monster content, because we barely scratched the surface, subscribe and also ring that bell for notifications of any new videos. That aside, remember kids,
Remember guys,
keep ungreeking.
what a save. I totally saved your ass over there. I'm a hero.
At least I didn't forget the catchphrase.
Fuck you, that was the last video. Hi fellow mythology geeks and welcome to our next video. Seeing as we are sitting here,